O-line is probably where I need to start here. And last year, Greg, boy, I know they signed Le'Veon Bell. We'll get to that. But, man, they did not put the young quarterback, Sam Darnold, in a good spot here with this offensive line. Do you think they've done enough in this offseason with Connor McGovern and, of course, Mekhi Becton to at least stabilize things up front for Sam Darnold?
I think they probably stabilized. I think they still need to improve, and obviously it's not going to happen this year. They're counting on Becton to step right in at left tackle and be a starter. They re-signed Alex Lewis, who started a number of times when he was in Baltimore and was a solid guard. He was a tackle in Nebraska, moved inside to guard in the NFL. So I think they've stabilized it. Darnold does have a tendency to get a little chaotic and frenetic, and I think that he has great moments. He has great individual moments, but I think that they need him to be steadier. And I'm sure they feel at this point in the second year in the offense that he needs to take more control and be much more of a sort of determining factor in how they play.
Let's talk about Le'Veon Bell, though. I mean, he was terrible in terms of yards before contact last year. Now, how much of that was Le'Veon? What were your thoughts on Le'Veon on tape last year? I mean, how do you kind of differentiate the player and fantastic blocking that he had last year?
I know, and that's the issue. I mean, I still think he's a solid back. Again, from a fantasy perspective, I wouldn't pencil him in for 1,500 yards, John, and I'm sure you haven't. But no. I think that he's still a solid back. I think he's much more now what he evolved into, even that final year in Pittsburgh. He's no longer a big play back as a runner. He's become much more of kind of a sustainer. I think his last year in Pittsburgh, before he sat out, I think he only had 3 runs over 20 yards. Somebody could easily check that. I could be wrong, but I think that's about right. He's no longer a big play type back. I think the key for him is that you want him to be more of a grinder. That's what he's evolved into. I'm sure Graham can address this more with numbers, but he's not a big play back anymore.
But no, I mean, I think Lamichael Pirine he kind of just reminded me of a guy. Didn't force a lot of missed tackles, didn't have a lot of juice, was a pretty decent pass catcher. He caught 40 balls last year at Florida. But he was kind of a rotational back there with that team. The Gators offense last year was really bad. I mean, Kyle Trask, their quarterback, was pretty brutal to watch. For fantasy this year, like Le'Veon Bell was 4th or 5th among all running backs in snap rate last year. I think he was at like 83%. That's basically the amount of snaps Ezekiel Elliott was playing every single week. The difference is even though Bell was on the field every single play, he finishes the RB19 in fantasy points per game. Now, I think that's probably because the Jets' offensive line stunk, and Adam Gase has, without Peyton Manning, never really run a good offense in the NFL. Never been a high-scoring offense, but Bell really kind of fell apart efficiency-wise last year. I mean, he was middle of the pack in missed tackles forced, bottom of the league in yards after contact per carry, and now he's going to have to contend with carries with Frank Gore, who Adam Gase loves, and in theory, Lamichael Pirine will be kind of the change of pace guy. Lev Bell ain't going to play 80%, 85% of those Jet snaps this year, and that's a big concern for fantasy, I think, John.